Got a raise from Stefanski on the button, as he is known to do. He's raised most of his buttons. There was a while earlier when we were six-handed and greater where he very rarely had a chance to raise his buttons. It was always raised before him, but when he's had a chance, he has generally raised his button, as good players generally do. And Dean wants to play with him. These two have clashed about as much as any two players at this final table. Which is strange, because they're two of the best players at the final table. And typically the good players will avoid each other, though at this point three-handed there's not much to be done. All three players are very good. We didn't get a lucky fish who made even really the final table. I think everybody at the final table was fairly experienced and played pretty well. These final three players are all very strong. Not a lot of big mistakes being made here. Wow, that was a big hand there. David raised to 95K. Dean re-raised to 285,000, and Stefanski went all in for about 2 million. So Stefanski was certainly with the chip lead now.
Okay, 300 element players, please take your seats. Break is almost over.
We spent a lot of time six-handed and a lot of time nine-handed, and now we're spending a lot of time three-handed. But there are a lot of chips in play. Very rarely does a tournament end with over 100 big blinds in play. So we'll be here a while. And Dean is now in third place, Molly tells us. He's been the chip leader from the start of the day with 13 left until now. And he is now down to third place. Kaplan has him just out-chipped, and Stefanski has a significant lead on him, I believe. They were all really close about 15 minutes ago. Now Stefanski has the lead. A sizable 3-bet from Dean over Kaplan's button raise. Kaplan looks him over. Not sure what just happened there.
Ideally shuffle the deal 5,000, 10,000, 1,080.
I can't tell if that card that's in front of the dealer is one of Dean's cards. I thought it might have come from his direction, but nothing else has happened, so that might just be the muck pile, and Dean still has both of his cards. So it looks like it was a 3-bet and a call, and Dean did not, in fact, throw his cards in. So we're going to see a flop. Kaplan raised the button. Dean 3-bet. And Kaplan has almost twice Dean's stack to start this hand. It was probably a raise to 85 or so and a 3-bet to over 200. So sizable stack in the pot already. I think if we see a turn and Dean puts any more chips in, it's going to be the rest of his chips. Kaplan maybe knows that and lets it go. I'm going to see if he could outflop him, and he didn't, and let it go. Can't count Dean out. He didn't get that $2.8 million by playing bad. He could definitely pile it right back up here. Nice position to be in, though. If things go completely sideways from here, you're stuck going home with 50 grand. That's not so bad. Dean wins the blinds as well. He's being more aggressive now than he was when he had a bigger stack. Some of that could have to do with the fact that he now needs to raise some hands and chip back up. How's my sound, by the way? Those of you out there listening, is my volume good compared to other Twitch streams or where you want it to be? I've got a lot of flexibility with the mic setup I have. All right, thank you, Poker. Another raise and another 3-bet. They're not playing around now. We saw a lot of raised calls earlier in the game, but since we got to 3-handed, there's a lot of 3-betting. These guys know there's a lot at stake here, a lot of money in the pot to start off with. And they know that their opponents are going to be raising a pretty wide range, so 3-betting makes a lot of sense. And a good poker player once told me that 3-handed is time to stop waiting and start winning. So these guys might also be looking at it that way. You're not going to be able to just glide into a heads-up battle. You're going to have to fight for it here. So it's time to start showing some aggression and being willing to bust out in order to take a shot at winning this thing. Check on a Queen 5 deuce board, battle between the blinds, and then a check back call from Stefanski, Kaplan betting, and they both check the end, and Kaplan gives up right away. Looks like just ace high might have taken that. No, he had a 5. We do need some mods on this site. This is the first broadcast we've done. We don't have even, and it was kind of a surprise that we were going to be doing this, so we don't even have the Nightbot or MooBot set up to do the automated stuff. So we will definitely have some mods in the stream here once we're getting more traffic, which should increase with every broadcast. We have some Twitch experts working with us. Not right now. I don't know where they are right now. This was a bit of a surprise and we didn't line any of them up, but we do have Twitch experts as part of the company who will help us out with that stuff. I have to agree, Poker Tasty Steaks is great. I put my World Series of Poker investment package up on Tasty Steaks. It's really easy. Really easy. Yeah, I have set Nightbot up on my own Twitch account. I'll set it up on the Blind Straddle account tonight. $20 more minutes at the 20,000, 40,000 level. Got a raise from the button. I can't tell if that's a call or a 3-bet from Stefanski, but Kaplan's actually thinking about it. Must have been a call, and Kaplan calls as well, so we see a 3-way flop, 3-handed. A king and a couple of deuces and 2 diamonds. If somebody has a king and somebody has diamonds, we could see fireworks here. Or if somebody happens to have a deuce. Both the blinds check to Dean, who's always going to bet. That's a pretty dry board. Not a ton of draws out there other than the diamonds. If nobody has a king, he's probably going to win. Stefanski might know that. Still seeing Stefanski call there when he's out of position with nothing would be a little surprising. I would think Stefanski's got a draw or a pair. Or it could be ace high that he thinks may be good. Dean thinking, probably wondering whether he should bluff here. Decided not to. Dean's really the fortunes that have turned around for Dean. There's the pocket pair from Stefanski. The fortunes that have turned from Dean is really directly attributable to the fact that he's losing showdowns. He's just not ending up with the best hand. Sometimes there's nothing you can do about that. The last hour and a half, 2 hours of playtime, if Dean's in a hand, you just see him throw his cards face down at the dealer when he gets shown a better hand at showdown. Makes it tough to win poker tournaments. Thanks, Flugy. I don't think I'm as much fun as you are as a commentator. You have to come on and work with me sometime. A blind versus blind battle. A limp from Kaplan and a check from Dean. And a ragged flop that hits blind hands. These guys are being pretty careful. We're not seeing a lot of fireworks. The fandom thinks maybe Dean is getting outplayed. Now that's possible. He is facing two very good players here. It is sometimes also that you're short-handed and you're not going to get people to fold pairs, and maybe he's losing the minimum on a bad run too. It's hard to say because we don't know what the other players' cards always were or what Dean's cards always were. Sometimes there isn't anything you can do, and sometimes there is. I tend to think Dean would do everything that he could do to win hands. He's won over $3 million playing poker, so he really knows what he's doing and has been in these situations before. But so have Stefanski and Kaplan. These are solid players. And Dean finally won one. That's how you beat a small pair, you make a bigger pair.
Clock going on.
And you hear clock going up in the background. That's
75-36,
the other tournament that's happening in the room right now. Sometimes when I was there for the Mega Stacks Challenge, there were 3 tournaments going on in that room. It is a huge room and beautiful. You're playing poker and you're looking out the second floor. Windows at the tops of pine trees. Not like 2 pine trees next to the building. Pine trees to the horizon. It is a beautiful setting in the country. Very green. Very New England. I like the area that Foxwoods is in quite a lot. Flugie points out one of the most important things in learning to play Texas Hold'em. It's hard to make a pair. I go days without making a pair sometimes. Profitable days even. Kaplan thinking about this raise from Dean. I'm going to guess the raises here are around 90,000 every time they're opening the button. All 3 of these players have played enough to be raising fairly small in these situations. And that must be a 3-bet. Bet does the trick. I don't think Dean is going to be uncomfortable facing aggression. When you get to the final tables in big online tournaments, the aggression is really turned up, and that's a place where Dean is very comfortable. So I don't think it's going to be a problem for him to handle the aggression, especially as his stack gets down into the re-steal range. He gets to 700,000 or 800,000, and you're going to see him really cranking it up. I think it will change the dynamic significantly if one of these three guys gets down again to where they're down below 20 big blinds. Unless Dean is already there, but I don't think he is quite yet. Got to be close. And certainly down to 15 big blinds would change things. That leaves the 15 big blind player with a real powerful weapon with the re-steal. Anytime there's a raise before him, he can go all in profitably with a really wide range, and that changes the dynamic of the game so much. The players to act before him can't open very often, but he can't open very often. He can only 3-bet profitably, and really changes the way the game works. Another battle of the blinds here. Dean just checking his small blind. Makes me wonder if he has something or if he's given up. I would very rarely just check there if I limp in. Aggressive players don't usually just limp in from the small blind and then check when they don't have any read on their opponent's range. Like we said, it's hard to make a pair. We need to check fold there, so maybe he's tired of losing showdowns, or maybe he has some sort of read on Stefanski, or he just missed that flop so badly he decided to give up on that one. There are times when I think, boy, I should only fold the flop here about 5% of the time, but I have in the bottom 5% of my range, so I'll just check fold it. There are times for that. Dean is not giving up. He's keeps taking a beating in these hands, and he's not stopping, not slowing down. I think he's at the point now where he may not have a choice. If he slows down now, the other two may eat him alive because his stack will be shorter and he'll start to be chewed up. Dean checking behind on the flop, and then got some thinking to do once he gets bet into on the turn. And I wonder if now he's in that trap where you've thought too long and nope. So I wonder if Dean's got a good showdown hand here that he's happy to see a showdown with. Maybe he's got a hand like a middle jack, or a pair of fives, or even a hand like ace-10 he might check behind here. He looked a little more proud of that one when he put it toward the dealer, so he's got this one. Here we go. A very small crowd starting starting a little cheer.
You really gotta be a lover of the game.
You do. It's like watching paintball.
Raising a call with Kaplan versus Dean. Kaplan's small blind and Dean's big blind. 9-7 deuce board. 2 spades. Kaplan checks. That's a strange thing from Kaplan. We haven't seen a lot of that from him. Dean may have thought the same thing. That's suspicious that Kaplan would check there. Of course, sometimes if you've been consistent enough and you're a good player who can mix it up, you can check a hand like 2 overcards there just because you know it looks suspicious, and then you can raise if somebody bets and look terrifying, or you can go ahead and see a free turn card and bet the turn and look terrifying. Can't overthink yourself too much and assume that no matter what somebody does, it's suspicious. And Dean raises. Kaplan looks like he wants to know how many chips Dean's got. Could be a big hand here. And Dean just does not move when those things happen. You have some players, Stefanski's one of them, and sometimes they're just so comfortable they don't bother to become still. And then some players who just don't move. And Dean really, every movement that he makes is, as some people advise you should be, robotic at the table. He's not moving. Call from Kaplan. This could be a big pot. Kaplan covering up the left side of his face. He doesn't want to be red. And checking immediately. That 5 didn't hit anybody probably. A 6-8 from Dean possibly, but not likely. Didn't play the hand like a 6-8. And if Dean has a 10 here, he's certainly going to bet it. A good 9 might also bet here. Ace-9 certainly should, I would think. I don't think Kaplan has a big hand, so Dean might want to bet if he's got a very strong hand. We'll see. Was Dean bluffing? And the king high from Kaplan wins it. It must have been spades from Dean, or just a bluff.